Hello everyone, welcome back to Mad Motors. My name's Harris and today you join me in a very special car. This is an Audi S3 8P, but it's far from standard. Running about 450 to 460 brake horsepower. It's got forged internals, bolts on the pistons, and it's a savage, absolutely savage car. And the weird thing is, actually driving the car around feels quite sedate, apart from the noise. The exhaust is crazy loud and it feels like a sauna in here. The actual vents that let out the AC are blocked by these boost gauges. And on a day like today, honestly, I wish they weren't there. What sorts of mods do you need to get about 450 horsepower on an Audi S3 8P? Well, for a start, you will need forged internals, as this engine can only take about 400 horsepower on stock internals. The previous owner actually tried to run a bit more than 400 horsepower in this car, and he actually blew it up, and that's why you needed the forged internals. At the time it was running about 408 horsepower, which is above the recommended, I believe, 390, which these usually push on a stage 2 plus map. As well as the forged internals, you will need your usual stage 2 plus mods as well. So you would have the R8 coil packs, obviously intake, intercooler, all of that. But stage 3 is obviously taking it to the next level. I was not expecting that at all. That is fast. Wow. Okay, yeah. Okay, I see what this is about. This is a fast car. Yeah, you have to take this car very seriously. This feels much quicker than the Golf R reviews, and that was a stage 2 400 brake horsepower car. This is a bit lighter and it is more powerful, but I still wasn't expecting it to feel so aggressive. Boost takes time to kick in, I'll be honest. It does have lag. That kicked in at about like above 3,000. So when boost, bloody hell, we're setting off car alarms. It's that loud. But yeah, this is a crazy car. I was not expecting that. I'm still in shock of how quick that felt. That was just a second gear pull. This car's on coilovers as well, and it feels really comfortable. It's on H&R coilovers, and it's not scraping on any speed bumps or anything like that. Steering, I'll be honest, it doesn't feel like much. You know, you're not getting much feedback through the steering wheel. It's a very light steering, especially compared to my Fiesta ST, which I daily drive. The steering feels a bit soulless, a bit lifeless. The steering, it's not very precise either. Even with the coilovers, it doesn't feel like an agile car. But even so, it's an exciting experience, and it's definitely, you know, it feels special. It feels like a Japanese sort of JDM tuner car, which is strange for something that's German. I mean, usually they have a very sterile feel, but this feels far from sterile. I mean, I can only imagine the money that's been put into this to make it feel like such an experience. The interior, well, it's a 2008 car, so you know, don't expect LED lights or ambient lights or whatever. The sat nav, that's a standard Audi unit. Oh, standard Audi unit, but it still feels, you know, quite modern. The dials, you know, they're just S3 dials, nothing different. You've got the boost gauge here, looks quite cool. Clutch is actually very light. It feels like a stock clutch, but it's not. It's an RTS twin plate clutch, which is obviously what you need. Even on a stage 2 plus car running about 350 horsepower, you do need an uprated clutch. If you haven't seen my Edition 30 Golf stage 2 plus review, go and have a look at that. That also had a uprated clutch. That was a Sachs performance clutch. This is the RTS option, which is, you know, it feels really good. There's no real grabby biting point or heaviness to the clutch. It feels really stock, and I don't own a car like this if you want that sort of feeling, because there are some real die-hard enthusiasts that love that hard, difficult driving feeling. But then if you want to enjoy a car every day, why would you not want a light clutch and fairly light steering? It just makes the car so much more drivable. But then at the same time, you do want it to feel like an experience, and you do want it to feel special. And does a light clutch and light steering take away from the experience? I don't think so. I think maybe the steering feel, I do wish it had a bit more feel. Not expecting it to get through first gear so quickly. We hit about 6,000 RPM almost immediately. Like, that was shocking. I think it's got boost by gear as well. I really like the steering wheel. It's quite similar to the new Audi RS3 steering wheel. It's the same flat bottom design. Still feels quite special in here. It feels really different to the Golf GTIs. This is obviously a two-door model, so it's got that sort of egg-shaped rear hatch. The 5 doors look a bit different. They look a bit more ordinary, but this is definitely a special car. Now, would I have this over something like a Golf R? I think, personally, yes, I would actually, because I think this feels way more of an experience. The Golf R, don't get me wrong, it's a great car, and it's a car that you can drive every single day, and it will feel like a normal Golf in most settings. But then when you put your foot down, it's an absolute monster. I mean, I've always said this, a stage 2 Golf R is probably one of the quickest cars on the roads. You know, it's going to beat most things because of that launch control system. Like, obviously this doesn't have launch control, but it has got 4-wheel drive. It's got the Haldex, I think version 2 or 3, so it's like the older Haldex system. So it's mostly front wheel drive for most of the time, and then when it needs a bit more grip, it will send power to the rear. That's up to 50% of the power will send to the rear. But yeah, brakes, we haven't really spoken about that. Brakes don't have much bites. These are TTRS brakes. They've got some type of upgraded pad. I'm not sure what pad's in there, but you have to really push to get any brake feedback and to get any real bite. It's not like a real grabby brake setup. I think I've noticed that with most inputs in this car. Everything's a bit soft and everything's a bit, I wouldn't say wallowy, because I'm not driving this car fast. Like, let's give it another pull. Okay, I take it back about the brakes. The brakes are amazing. Yeah, they are really good. I take everything back I said about the brakes. They are just enough. When you've actually, you know, when you push them, there is enough bite, there is enough feel, all of that stuff, there's enough. But yeah. Right, that's the second gear. So I just put my foot down there and nothing's really happened. His boost hasn't kicked in, which is absolutely fine in a car like this. You do expect it to have some lag. I'm not expecting it to be like an instant power like a Golf R. You know, when you are driving a car like this quite spiritedly, it's very rare that you find lag to be a problem, because it's a manual gearbox as well. I forgot to mention that, which is quite a rare thing in a car like this. Usually they're all DSG or Tiptronic, I think is what they use in Audis of this time. You are going to be going up and down the gearbox, you're going to be using those gears, so lag won't be that much of a problem. And when peak power is coming in at 3,000, 4,000 RPM, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. The gearbox is a 6-speed manual, but in terms of the gear shift, it doesn't feel very mechanical. It feels quite soft. Again, that's a running theme with the car. All the inputs are soft. The gear shift is no different. The actual throw isn't very long. It doesn't feel like it necessarily needs a short shifter, but maybe a short shifter would help to get a bit more feel when shifting gears. Especially if you want that satisfaction when you're changing a gear. In in a car like this where you've got 450 horsepower, I think that is something you would want. But at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't ruin the car. It really doesn't take anything away from the experience you have when driving this car. I don't feel like I'm missing anything because the gear shift is a bit, you know, a bit soft or whatever. Quick power that I just put down earlier, it was scary. Like the Golf R was quick, you know, second and third gear, and even first when you've got it, you know, launched, it feels insane. But I can just tell this is more power, and it's lighter as well. It just feels monstrous. But yeah, absolutely insane.